Well, thank you very much for inviting me to speak today, and I am truly sorry that I'm not there in person. As you can imagine, I thought it was quite apropos to do this during Skype or via Skype, but as you can imagine, even in the digital space, we still have some challenges. On that note, as you know, the digital journey, truly for all of us, I think has just begun. Every day, our lives are being transformed by iPads, QR codes, and Android devices. And the good or the bad news is there's so much more to come that we don't even know about. So today, if we can go to slide 2, I'm going to focus on 3 specific areas, specifically search and how we're using search to gather and acquire consumer insights. Secondly, I'll touch on social media, specifically talking about Facebook and also user-generated content. And then thirdly, I'm going to touch on mobile. Again, specifically talking about our latest iPhone application and how we're leveraging QR codes to further connect with our consumer. So if we can go to slide 3, what you'll see here is I'm going to go a bit deep into search. Specifically, I wanted to share with all of you a case study that we did on Even Better Clinical. I think everyone should be aware, if you aren't already, Google Insights is an extremely powerful tool that is publicly available to absolutely everyone. I think this is the secret marketing weapon for every marketer out there. Specifically, Google Insights helps us first discover and identify consumer insights and trends. Secondly, it helps us refine how we speak to our consumers in our marketing. And then thirdly, it truly helps us monitor how our media is performing. Next slide. If we go, as I mentioned, Google Insights is a powerful tool that does help us discover and identify consumer insights and trends. Specifically, this is just a sample. On the left-hand side, you can see there are some sample words under skincare and makeup. If you use this tool, you can essentially pull up all these different types of words and see how consumers are talking about these categories. And what's very powerful is you can start to deduce specific insights. For example, the first one is consumers truly want a curator to find a product. And what I mean by that is you can start to see all of the words that are starting to bubble up, such as best, which leads into the second insight, which is consumers trust Google or the web to recommend the best products. And I think that's a very important point, that consumers really are seeking for a neutral or a third-party source that is providing them with authentic feedback. And there's an inherent trust from consumers that Google is that source. And then our third insight is consumers want educational how-to video content. And where this is extremely powerful for brands such as Clinique is, given our dermatological heritage and our educational focus, we have a lot of this content that we can actively share with our consumers. If we go to the next slide, Google Search Insights also helps us refine how we can speak to our consumers. So something that we actively do is, prior to launching any type of product, we go into the search or the digital space about 6 to 12 months prior to product launch, and we start to look at how are consumers talking about this category, especially if it's a new category. So for example, internally our hypothesis was consumers were saying the word hyperpigmentation. That's how we thought consumers might talk about dark spots or what have you. And it actually turns out consumers were not using that terminology. And what consumers were actually using were words like acne scars or skin spots or how to remove skin spots. So where this insight is extremely powerful is we were able to essentially refute our initial hypothesis that consumers aren't using the word hyperpigmentation, and we were able to take these consumer insights real time and actively make changes not only in our digital copy, but also in our print and impact some of our TV. So again, I think this is a very powerful way to use the digital space to inform your other channels effectively. If we go to the next slide, 6, Google Search Insights also helps us monitor how our media is performing. And if you click again, what you will see is the different colors. This is just illustrative right now, But what you can see is each color or each wave on this graph represents a different search term. And the one that I have called out and tagged for all of you is this term, the huge spike, actually correlates to the word eggs. And what's so interesting about this is the spike in our search traffic happened the day after, or during, I should say, that we aired our TV commercial. So we had amazing learnings in that. The first one was that TV does have a direct correlation and impact to your search query volume. The second one, and this is a bit more fun and anecdotal, is we never would have predicted that consumers were going to start searching Clinique eggs or eggs by Clinique as a search term or group of terms we should purchase. But as we started to see that spiking, we were able to, in real time, optimize our search by and effectively capture and convert that traffic. So if you go to the next slide, page 7, as I mentioned, search truly is a critical component of our digital strategy, but so is Facebook. Specifically, I think some good facts to ground everyone on Facebook is, by 2012, the projections are that Facebook will have 1 billion users. And for many of the companies in the audience, I think similar to us, that will then mean that Facebook will be your third largest market, but it just happens to be virtual. Another great Facebook global fact, I think, is right now 40% of all the traffic on the web is via Facebook. And there are projections already. I was actually at a conference yesterday where there are projections where Facebook shortly will be the web and will be the infrastructure in many ways moving forward. So it's critical that we start to, as much as all of us have invested in the BRIC countries, we need to empower our internal teams to invest heavily also within Facebook because it represents an equal but slightly different opportunity. So the second thing I'm going to talk about within social media is our Insiders Club, and that will make more sense in a few moments when I delve into those details. So if we go to slide 8, this is something I wanted to, I think many times people think about Facebook just in the sense of it's a free channel and they don't think about the paid media opportunities. And actually what I wanted to highlight are there are some phenomenal paid media opportunities on Facebook in conjunction with non-paid. And so what I'm going to walk you through is a Facebook reach block that we actually did approximately a year ago or more. The objective of the reach block was to drive awareness and sales of our Even Better Clinical and to acquire new fans or likes. And I think a very interesting thing about this particular unit is we ran it for one day in one market, and we had a 5-time viewing cap, meaning if you are an active Facebook user and you went onto your computer, let's say 6 times that day, by the 6th time, there's no way you would see our messaging because we didn't want to exhaust or have any negative impact. I think it's also important to say Facebook is getting far more sophisticated in the level of targeting that we can do, so we were able to pick our target based on age, geography, and gender. So if you go to page 9, this is what we actually ran on the reach block. We actually decided to do an ABC test, if you will. The first unit we decided to test, and this was all done in one day, was the poll ad. Where I think this is extremely powerful is the question we posed there to consumers is, what is your main skin concern? And again, our hypothesis was prior to our search investigation would have been that consumers would have said dark spots or uneven skin tone. But as I mentioned to you, since we had actually already conducted our search insights or gathering before we even launched this campaign digitally, the acne scars becoming the 41% or the highest response from consumers only validated what we were seeing in our search research. So I think it's also very interesting to think about Facebook paid media opportunities as a way to learn more about your consumers. The second unit that we ran was the fan ad. And as I said, one of our primary objectives of running this reach block was fan acquisition. And this was no surprise. This was our hope that this would drive the highest acquisition, and it did in fact, because it has a very single focused call to action, which is you like Clinique. The third unit that we ran was actually a video ad unit. And this actually performed extremely well for us and helped give us even more free media impressions because consumers then saw our television spot within this unit. But what's also very powerful about all three of these units is it also started to go into their friends' news feeds. Leads me into slide 10. One of the key learnings that we had out of this entire experience, because this was a somewhat expensive endeavor, was that paid media has an amazing impact beyond its flight dates. So this was a one-day opportunity that we pursued with Facebook that we did on May 27th. But what we discovered is we were able to acquire tens of thousands of new fans, and then fabulously, we ended up with a ripple effect, meaning prior to doing the reach block, we had X number of fans each week that we were acquiring. Post the reach block, what ended up happening was we doubled so we had 2X and the number of consumers joining. And we attribute that because every time a fan liked us or interacted with us, it went into their friend's news feed. So if we go into slide 11, the second part of social media that I wanted to discuss was the non-paid version. So I touched on paid within Facebook, and then this is non-paid. A program we've developed within Clinique is Insiders Club. This is a club that we've actually started in one country about 2.5 years ago. We've now subsequently rolled out to 9 different markets, and it has generated over 1,000 written and video reviews. And to give you a quick nutshell about this program, what each market does, for example, in the U.S. or in Brazil, each market selects up to 10 different consumers, and the consumers submit a written and a video testimonial on why they should have the opportunity to test our products ahead of any other consumer and why we should pick them. And we go through thousands of submissions. Then we pick a broad range of different ages, ethnicities, geographies, what have you, and have those 10 consumers for 1 year get preview access to all our products. And I think a very important thing that we've learned out of all of this is, first, these Insiders Club review videos are our top clicked videos on our YouTube channel. So clearly consumers do connect to these other consumers. And I think there's a level of authenticity because we in no way, shape, or form pay these consumers, and in no way, shape, or form do we edit these videos. And where I think that really does resonate with consumers is if any of you have the time and decide to go through the 1,000 different videos that we have, you will see we do have some reviews. The majority of them, 99%, are positive, but there are some reviews because people's skin tones wasn't the perfect fit or what have you, where it wasn't the perfect fit. We still let those videos go up because it's critical to make sure that our consumer knows that we value their opinion and welcome their feedback. If we go into slide 12, this starts to show another way that we engage and drive awareness and, of course, sales, which is via mobile. We developed this iPhone app initially just for Asia. An iPhone app, this is just a screenshot. All of you are welcome to download this in the audience. Initially, it was just made available for Asia, but what's fascinating is it started to perform so well in Asia. As a matter of fact, it was the #2 called out iPhone new app within the Apple Store. We actually had all our different markets start to request from my global team, they wanted the app. So we actually have just launched it internationally, and that includes the U.S., as of a week ago, and it's doing quite well. But I think this is an interesting story showing how you can start to develop a digital program in one market, but truly turn it into something that is globally relevant for everyone. And to give you a little background on the app, what it does is, and why we developed it for Asia, was it takes a combination of the UV index, the humidity, and the air pollution, and then we recommend what the appropriate products are for you to use that day. So I think one of the reasons why it's resonated so well with consumers and why Apple actually approved this in under 3 days, which is amazing, is because there's a utility factor. And there's something where consumers truly, it's a benefit to them. Yes, they are learning about our products, but we're actually helping our consumers enjoy their lives in a better way. I'd also like to point out on the left-hand side is how we were starting to promote the iPhone app, and that is through QR codes. Again, this is where Asia is far more ahead of many markets in the use of QR codes. So we were able to call out this app in all the print advertising, and we believe that also had a huge impact on the adoption rate. So if I go to slide 13, this is where I just wanted to call out the fact, I think many folks, and I'm sure many of you have launched iPhone apps or Android apps or BlackBerry apps. I think it's critical to think about how you share that information with your consumer. And what you have on the left in Korea is you'll see that we actually have QR codes right on the site so the consumer can learn about it immediately and instantaneously start interacting. We also have call-outs, and on the North America side, you can see that's an email that has gone out to different consumers. So we're trying to make sure all of our consumers get to learn about this iPhone application and remove any barriers so they can instantaneously start interacting with it. And lastly, I'd like to point out another opportunity that we have given our distribution is we do have in-store presence. So we also created in-store handout cards that had the QR code, which also immediately empowered consumers to interact, but it also gave our consultants an opportunity to speak with our consumers. So if we move to the last slide, this is actually my contact information. And if anyone has any questions or would like any follow-up on anything that I touched on, I'm more than happy to get back to you, whether you want to find me personally on Facebook or become a friend of mine on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for your time.